Good evening and welcome to the Wakefield School Committee meeting of June 25th, 2019. I'd like to call this meeting to order and start with our Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'll read the mission statement for the Wakefield Public Schools. The vision of the Wakefield Public Schools is to graduate students who are confident, lifelong learners who are respectful and caring members of their community. Our mission is to prepare students for college, career, and community by providing rich and challenging curriculum, high-quality instruction, and educational experiences that meet their individual needs and interests. Is there anybody from the public? Seeing nobody. Student Advisory Council, I believe, is off for the summer. And move to our consent agenda, please.
Move that the school committee approve the minutes of the June 12th, 2019 school committee meeting as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any corrections, updates, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay. Budget items.
Thank you. We have one gift this evening. It is a gift of $1,300 from the Wakefield Track Boosters, and that gift is to pay stipends for assistant coaches for the spring 2019 spring track season.
Move that the school committee accept with gratitude the donation of $1,300 from the Wakefield Track Boosters, stipends to pay 3 assistant coaches for the fiscal year 19 spring season.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Comments? All those in favor? Thank you.
I don't know if I want to turn this over to Mr. Marker, Mr. Chair of the Labor, but we have 4 tentative agreements with our bargaining units that we'd like to get before the committee this evening.
Mr. Markham.
Thank you. What I would recommend that we do is I read the motions and we have any discussion or comments about each. I would like to preface that by saying this is tonight we're prepared to bring forward publicly the cafeteria workers, Cafeteria Association of AFSCME, the custodial and clerical groups, all under AFSCME, as well as the traffic supervisors as an independent group. I'd like to certainly thank the work of Mr. Piffling and the superintendent, as well, of course, as our partners in labor, the members of the AFSCME units, the unit leaderships, and certainly the memberships who have all in really good faith and good energies brought together what is but certainly I think the Labor Relations Subcommittee and the administration's feels is very fair, very equitable, and very important next steps in some good work. It is our responsibility as employers to certainly do the very best we can to provide incentives, to provide good working conditions, to provide quality working environments, and a fair wage. We want to be able to continually recruit, train, and retain quality workers and quality staff across all our collective bargaining groups, across all employee groups. So I think on behalf of Labor Relations, we're pleased to present these 4 contracts tonight for the public vote of the committee. If I may, I move the school committee approve the tentative agreement between the Wakefield School Committee and the cafeteria personnel, AFSCME Local 93, Local 3117, AFL-CIO, for a collective bargaining agreement commencing July 1, 2019, as presented.
Second.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Any seeing? The terms are exactly as we've discussed and presented. So any questions from the committee we'll certainly be able to answer tonight. If not, we can proceed.
We're good? So, all those in favor? It's unanimous.
Okay. I move that the school committee approve the tentative agreement between Wakefield School Committee and custodial personnel, AFSCME Local 93, Local 3117 AFL-CIO for collective bargaining agreement commencing July 1, 2019, as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions, discussions? Again, these are exactly as we had seen.
Yes.
Okay, no, seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Unanimous?
I move that the school committee approve the tentative agreement between Wakefield School Committee and clerical personnel, ASME Local 93, Local 3117 AFL-CIO, for a collective bargaining agreement commencing July 1, 2019.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
And finally, tonight, I move the school committee approve the tentative agreement between the Wakefield School Committee and the Wakefield Traffic Supervisors Association for a collective bargaining agreement commencing July 1, 2019, as presented.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Great.
Very good, thank you. And thank the committee, and again, thank each of the collective bargaining groups for not only continuing to represent Wakefield Public Schools in the best of light, but to be such a partner in labor and in education.
And thank you to the negotiation subcommittee. I know that this is not a light load to carry. It's very intense for a short duration of time when you look at the entire year, but I'm sure your families are very much appreciative you get these ones off your back. Discussion of the FY20 fees that Mr. Piffling sent.
Good evening. So in your packet, you do have the proposal for the 2019-2020 fee proposal, as was presented to the Finance and Facilities Subcommittee last week. I'm going to hit just the highlights briefly. Transportation, recommended increase of $5 for a one-way bus pass from $240 to $245, and $5 for a round-trip bus pass of $350 to $355. That's really just to cover our annual increases from the bus company, and it really probably doesn't cover the full increase, but a little bit helps. The other changes are the registration fee for the Wakefield Academy. This is an annual fee. It's a one-time fee every year. In the packet, it said that last year's fee was $45, and this year we're going to $50, a $5 increase. However, after further discussions with Mr. Carter, I was misunderstood. It was $45 if you registered before August 1st. It was $55 if you registered after August 1st. So they felt it was probably the fairest thing to do was remove the deadline and let any family register at any time, provided there was space in the program, and charge a one-time fee of $50. It's split down the middle between the two. So, in addition, the family cap on that's going from $75 to $85. So, the only other two items in here are school lunch. There's a recommendation from Ms. Morello to increase from $2.75 to $3 at the elementary level, from $3 to $3.25 at the middle and high school level, and breakfast would remain the same at $1.75. And finally, the preschool tuitions for 2019-2020, an increase of about 2.5% from $6,530 to $6,700 for the full-day, 5-day program, and $32.65 up to $33.50 for the 5-day, half-day program. Do we want to make a motion, then we can have the discussion if there's any? Oh, I'm sorry, I have more still. But
Ready?
I have just a little bit more. On the third page of the fees is fees around the rental of our facilities. And Mr. Bankert, there used to be 4 levels on the audiovisual requirements. He felt that none of the first 3 levels were used and was a little distracting to what they offer, so he recommended that we just go down to 1 level at $25 per hour at the 4-hour minimum. That was already in there. The changes that we're removing the first 3 levels of that. I'm sorry, I think I've covered all the changes now.
Move that the school committee approve the fiscal year 20 tuition fees as presented.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion.
Mike, can you just talk a little bit about both school lunch increased price? I'm assuming that has to do with just covering increased costs of food, or is there kind of more to it? And similarly, on the preschool, if you can just talk a little bit about the reasoning why, are the expenses going up related to preschool? What the thinking is behind that?
Absolutely. I was looking for, Ms. Morello did give me a write-up, and I'm sorry I didn't print it out for tonight. I'm sure that I will find it very soon here. But she did cover the cost between the negotiations. There's been an increased cost in food delivery because of gas fuel prices, and actually the cost of food because it's going up because of the fuel and transportation costs mostly. We're embarking on some upgrades to our food service program. Some of it's being covered by capital projects, like our freezers and refrigerators are being reconditioned. The majority of that's being covered by capital projects, but there is still a little bit that needs to be absorbed by the program, as well as some preventative maintenance that's time for. Duct cleaning in all of our school lunch programs, the ducts for the cooking equipment, the duct work, all needs to be cleaned. So just between that and the collective bargaining and the fuel costs, it's a moderate increase to the program, but she did compare with other area schools, and I don't want to waste your time looking through my emails, but it stays competitive with other programs. It doesn't put us any further ahead or more expensive than any of the other local programs.
Do you know what that nets out for a total additional amount of money that comes in?
I could probably do the math on it quick, just on a percentage, but it actually wouldn't be as accurate as it should be, because what we charge for lunch and what the government reimburses us for some of the free and reduced lunch programs, they don't take into consideration our charge cost as much as they do how much they reimburse per meal.
Yeah.
So I'd have to do a little bit more calculation on that to factor in percentage on free and reduced lunches and low
But
income.
the idea is all the money that comes in for that increase in cost stays in the lunch program around maintenance and food purchases and all of that.
Yeah, if
stays
nothing else, the town actually subsidizes the program also.
Does it? Okay.
Just slightly through benefits, so anybody who's benefit eligible in that program, and it's probably 10 out of the staff members, but the food service program is not charged for benefits. The town does still pick those up as part of our agreement with the town. So some school districts actually include the cost of benefits in their food lunch revolving accounts, and Wakefield does not, which is good. It helps keep that program solvent, especially with the changes in the school nutrition program over the years. For the most part, they cover all their own costs except for benefits, and all the money just stay in the program.
Perfect, thanks.
One question
Oh, and I'm
right
sorry,
now.
did you want questions on the?
On the preschool, but if you have, do you have questions about lunch?
No,
Okay.
no, sorry.
All right. So I did a little bit of research on preschool programs in the area, and see how we compare price-wise. So I'll start with our public schools and our neighbors. Stoneham Public Schools charges $6,600, so about $100 less than our proposal for their program, which is a 5-day, full day, which is 8:40 to 2:10. However, on Wednesdays, they only go a half day, so that's certainly worth the $100 for the full-day program. I'm assuming, it's not they're actually going less hours in Stoneham than we are in Wakefield, so for $100 less. In Saugus, their rate is $6,000 per year. That's for a 5-day, full day from 8:15 to 2:15. So pretty comparable to ours, slightly less expensive than ours. In Melrose, their rate for a 5-day, full day is $8,948, so substantially more than our program here in Wakefield. Their program has been established much longer than ours is, so probably year-over-year increases for them have gotten them to a price that's far exceeding ours. The majority of our costs, not majority, but a good percentage of our costs are still handled within our local budget. It's not everything is charged off to the revolving account. And then the Rise Preschool in Reading is $7,900 for a 5-day full-day program. Linfield only has a half-day program, and their half-day program is, caps out at $4,000. Some of their full half-day programs are 4 days, some of them are 5 days. They're both $4,000. I'm not sure what differentiates the difference and why there's not a reduced price. But if you do double that for a full day, they'd be about $8,000 a day. I mean, a year, a year.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. I'd love to control that revolving account. And then when we got into our private schools in the area, I reached out to all three, being Odyssey Day School, Canterbury, and Tallspire. Tallspire wasn't able to give me rates for next year. Canterbury gave me rates, but they're for the current year that's just ending. They're at $7,350 or $735 a month for 10 months, so $7,350 for a 5-day, full-day program. And then there's additional fees if you want to stay later, similar to like our Wakefield Academy would be. And Odyssey Day School for next year, sorry, they're on page 2. Their rate for 5-day, full day is $8,753, so about $2,000 more than what our rates are for next year, proposed rates are for next year. So that is information on preschool. Does anybody have any questions on preschool beyond comparable rates? I think you had a question about enrollment.
I don't know. I don't remember that question, but
Okay.
I was going to ask, it sounds like with preschool as well, it's still being subsidized through kind of, you're not covering all of the costs with that tuition.
No, not nearly. We charge off about half of our teacher salaries. So out of the 8 classrooms over there, I think it's 8 classrooms, I think 4 teachers are paid out of the revolving account, and probably the equal number of ISPs or paraprofessionals. Those are the only things that come out of that account. Occasionally, Shannon will have a one-off purchase that she'll need to make, more about equipment for student use, playground equipment, but on a much smaller scale than, we did a playground refresh, but sometimes she'll have some smaller classroom playground equipment or playground play equipment. I don't want to call it playground, but
Like gym for gym or something like that.
manipulative, I think is a good
Yeah.
question. Some small gym equipment that she'll ask if I can help her out, because
They do play-based learning.
play-based learning, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So occasionally, under a couple $1,000s a year. So it's typically about 8 to 10 salaries between teachers. It doesn't cover any of our special education teachers. This is really truly about tuition-based. All special education costs are borne through the local budget. The principal's salary is through the local budget. The secretary's salary is, I think, split between the two. Custodial salary is fully through the budget. All utilities are through the budget, so nothing gets charged off the revolving account really, except for salaries and that small amount of play-based learning equipment.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Normally goes up about 2.5%.
Yeah, we
would you
try and
say?
just keep it around 2.5%. Certainly our costs are greater than 2.5% every year increases. Maybe not for the entire program, but our salary costs are more than 2.5% increases by the time, you take all the things into consideration. So certainly the town continues to bear more of the increase every year than the families of Wakefield do. And again, it's an integrated program. It's a peer-based program. It's not intended to be a profit program. It's certainly there for majority special education needs and peer-to-peer interactions.
Do you happen to remember what the increase was last year?
I believe it was 2 or 2.5%. So we've consistently been 2.5%. There was a year that we did go up substantially more after looking at some of the other comparable programs in the area. But I think last year stayed around
What-
2,
okay.
2.5. Yeah, the year before that may have been a more substantial increase.
Someone mentioned that there had been a larger increase when I asked.
And I think it was because we looked at what Reading and Melrose and even our private schools here in town, which we're charging. And again, not to be competitive with them, because that's not our intention. It's really truly an educational program more than it is a cost program. But I think at that time, we were looking at trying to stay at a certain percent for a budget increase, as asked by the town. So it was one of the ways to offset our budget. And again, we were undercharging. We continue to be undercharging. We're still, in my opinion, we're still undercharging for this program.
Yep.
But again, it's a needed program in town, and when we took it out of the elementary schools and moved it into its own program, certainly the cost did go up,
Yep.
to have its own separate building, but it's beautiful place. If you haven't been over there, it's one of those places you go and you kind of leave there with a big smile on your face. It's kind of my favorite place to go in the district. So, that and Post
It's where all
Academy.
the
It's two
administrators hang
ends of our educational world. I love Post Academy and I love the Doyle. I love all of our schools, but those two just kind of have a special place.
Amy?
So my quick question was, under the Wakefield Academy, I know it says the registration fee annually. So that's for just the school year, or is that for the summer?
It's a one-time fee for the year. It covers,
Okay.
I don't think we charge a separate registration fee for summer. If the child doesn't go through the school year and signs up for the summer, I don't think there's a registration fee for the summer. But our resident experts in the crowd tonight,
Okay.
if
Great,
you can
thank
see, if you can see them through all the people.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that generally, we found ourselves a couple of times having resisted any sort of increase at all. You know, oh, maybe we can absorb this, we can absorb that. And then all of a sudden, we were in a point where we couldn't, and we had to take a big jump all at once, and that was very difficult for families to absorb. And we made a conscious decision that we were gonna stay on top of these things and pay closer attention and take incremental increases along the way, rather than any big jumps.
Yeah, I think it was probably 4 years ago when we signed a new bus contract. That was a big one, that we identified that, as well as the Doyle. Those are our two big ones that we really look at incremental, small incremental increases every year, so we don't have that big bang. But, you know, at Wakefield Academy, I have to say, I think there's been a slight increase in just the Galvin afternoon for 5 to 8. I think that the afternoon at the elementary level has been 15 for the 7 years I've been here, so that we have not had an increase. And we continue to run an exceptional program over there. We've increased our enrichment opportunities. They just put on a really great program, and we haven't had to increase our costs, which has been substantially beneficial to our families in Wakefield who need these services. Yep. They want the enrichment programs, but some of them also need that after-school care. So I think it's been a tremendous program and continues to grow every year.
I agree.
Just need to find somebody to fill those shoes.
Any other questions? Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Unanimous?
That concludes my comments.
Okay. Chairman's comments, I have our Wakefield Memorial High School Working Group as an item. As you're all well aware, that Mr. Markham was working very diligently last year on this program, and we just got, with so many other projects going on, he was unable to finish, and he would like to continue that, and I'm going to hand the ball off to Mr. Markham.
Thank you, and that's very kind of you. It was a busy spring, and it was a goal to sort of wrap this up and present it before my chairmanship ended, but I appreciate the accommodation. So the proposal that we were talking about and we're working on, and we would be prepared to revise tonight to move forward with, was that we would establish the Wakefield School Committee would establish a working group that would tie together our capacity not to lose time between next December, January, when we hear back from MSBA about whatever their decision is for our latest application with regard to the high school project, and be able to spend the time between, say, July and January with some concerted effort about thinking and planning and different options. I don't think the value of that has gone away in the last, say, month or so. And in fact, I think the interest is still as strong as it was when we were talking about this around the town meeting time. So with that in mind, what we'd like to propose is that the committee empower the superintendent and myself between now and our next meeting, which would be July 23, to put together a proposal in writing to what such a group would look like, to establish a purpose, a timeline, and reporting benchmarks, as well as recommendations around some constituencies that should be represented around town. And then at our next meeting, we vet that and discuss what the committee should look like, and we review that recommendation. And with the possibility or the intention on July 23 to establish such a group. Then part of that timeline, at least as far as the superintendent and I are thinking about it now, for tonight's purposes, would be then from the July 23 meeting to, say, the August 27 meeting, we ask people to submit letters of interest, to sort of apply to be on the committee, or at least express interest. And we want to fill in so there's enough representation of different constituencies around town. I think there's real value to having constituent representation. I don't think we need, 25 high school parents, and we need, I think we need a balance. We need some elementary groups, we need some people that bring some talent, if you will, some construction-related experience, and maybe media relations, maybe marketing, the type of things that we're going to need to pull together to ultimately have a positive campaign, regardless of what MSBA says. We're going to have to be prepared with a couple of options. I think if we get enough talent around the table that represents diversity around town, I think we'd probably have a pretty good product. Then we would empower that group, say at the August 27 meeting, giving everyone sort of a month, even in the summer, a month's still a decent amount of time. And then ask that committee, working group to work in the next 4 months, September through January or December, to prepare options, to host meetings, to host community forums, to host some community discussions, the type of discussions I think that people want to participate in. And then, in the course of that time, obviously report back to the full school committee and be prepared to help us with what hopefully will be a positive message from MSBA, or will be an alternative, or a couple alternatives. But I think there's still some real interest around the community, leading into. I mean, we heard lots of great commentary at the public hearing that we had right here in this room back in FY20 budget process, and then leading into town meeting, we had some robust conversations. We had a forum back in the spring, back in March, late March or so. So I don't think the interest has in any way dwindled, which I think we want to capture. So anyways, to report with regard to the agenda item tonight, that would be our recommendation on establishing a purpose, timelines, parameters, and some constituencies for such a group that would be empowered by this committee and asked to spend the following 4 or 5 months doing some work.
Great, sounds like a great plan. Any other questions? And hopefully we'll have something to celebrate in December. We can
Yes,
give you something to do.
that would be nice if we got to go to Plan A, not Plan B or C, right? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And subcommittee assignments, we tried to keep the existing subcommittee assignments in place until the end of the school year. We'll start our new assignments for July 1. I have some thoughts here, and I'm sure I can't make everybody happy. We have a lot of people want to do the same things here and there, but first of all, I think since we are still in the midst of negotiations and in conversation with a couple of members, I think it is important to keep the negotiations team as it is, because otherwise we're going to have a new learning curve, and I think that's probably not going to be to anybody's benefit. So we'll keep negotiations with Tom Markham, Ann Fortier, and Colleen Guida. Finance and facilities. Looks as though we're going to have a lot of extra planning to do, thanks to certain people. And so I feel as though we need a lot of experience on that subcommittee. So the finance and facilities, I would like to have myself, Mr. Markham, and Ms. Purcell. Student services, I would like to have Ms. Purcell and Fortier and Mr. Flynn. And policy, I'd like Ms. Vayer, Mr. Flynn, and Ms. Guida. As far as chairmanships, I'd like Ms. Vayer to chair the policy subcommittee, policy and communications. Just one thing I'd like to pass off is that we are, July focus was to meet with with Jen McDonald and see what her role was going to be with the school department for communications.
Okay.
Mr. Markham will continue with chairing negotiations, and Ms. Purcell would chair student services.
Finance facilities, is that you?
Fine, that would be me.
Sorry.
And if there's a problem, just let me know. But I think I'm trying to balance out our needs and our talents as well as I can. Okay, superintendent's remarks.
Thank you, Chris. So one of the things that's important for me to let the community know and the committee know is that, all of the work that's been done on the subcommittee level and the feedback that we've gotten from surveys is all kind of, it comes into the queue, but the information is not discarded. It's really important. And some of the most important information we got this year came from the Student Services Subcommittee. So, one of the things that we've been working on and talking about in management and operations with our school principals is, closing well to open well, right? And what that means is, principals and administrative teams, as well as teachers at the schools, really working hard to communicate to students, parents, about the upcoming school year. If students need services over the summer, this is a first time that Lynn O'Neill has spent time with the elementary principals planning schedules, planning services with the principals, and that has impacted grouping and assignments at the elementary level, and as well as at the pre-K level. So we're really, and so I just want to be clear around the reason that we're doing that. We're doing that to provide more continuity in service. We're doing that to try to minimize any anxiety that happens during transitions. And so that's something that came from information that we received back from parents in the survey from our Student Services Subcommittee. So we're really pleased about that. But in regard to management and operations, I think that the administrative teams have done a very nice job communicating to families and students about what their assignments are, and also have been open to feedback from parents around what their needs of their children are as well. And that's not to say that we don't need to continue to improve in that area. I believe that we do, but it is a priority for us, and it's just kind of a starting point for us. So that's just something that I want to just communicate in regard to management and operations and closing out the school year. In regard to professional development, I'm happy to report that Adam Colantoni, Joel Villegas, and I attended a METCO event this past Monday, yesterday, in Framingham called Living the Legacy of METCO. The event was led and facilitated by Millie Arbaje Thomas, the new director of METCO, and the presenters were Rob Jones and Raul Fernandez. Rob Jones is an educator, a writer, and the founding member of Urban Improv, who facilitated really the story and the history of METCO. And that was followed up by Raul Fernandez, who's an associate dean at Boston University, who's responsible for equity, diversity, and inclusion. And this was a great opportunity for us, as a lot of the work that's happening with the METCO program and also with the presenters intersects really well with the work that we're doing here in our district around equity and inclusion. You might have heard some of these words, equity and inclusion, that have been shared during our budget process, have been shared when we're talking about curriculum, we're talking about civil discourse and civics, as well as student engagement and our instructional strategy. So it was a great opportunity for us, a very positive day, and I think it gave us some nice information and feedback as we plan for our summer retreat, our leadership retreat in August, but also gave us some information and things to think about and how we can better serve all of our students as we move into the 2019-2020 school year. In curriculum, I want to be clear and communicate that, and really looking at how we use the WPS curriculum review cycle. We look at when we're selecting curriculum, we look at and review for bias and the misrepresentation of different cultures and identities. We're also explicitly teaching social awareness at the K-4 level with the Michigan model, right? And so we're particularly pleased about that. And so when we think about developing ideas and concepts, we think about professional development with adults, what that might look like in the classroom in regard to teaching and learning, and how we can kind of develop concepts over time. And so, which leads me to kind of our student leadership, just an update on the Anti-Defamation League and the World of Difference curriculum that we're using at grades 5 through 12. So the World of Difference curriculum guides our work with our leaders at the high school and at the middle school. And so those curriculum leaders work as peer mentors and peer leaders, and kind of the principles that they work under is to really promote and recognize bias and the harm it inflicts on individuals and communities, to understand and value the benefits of diversity, to improve the interrelationships of groups, and most importantly, to confront racism in all of its forms, including bigotry. And so these are themes that are part of our student leadership program, and we're looking to expand that program. Our World of Difference leaders at the middle school and at the high school, our numbers at the middle school are in close to 70 now, which is fantastic. We're looking to and that joined with advisory and some other kind of programs, I think that number's only going to grow. And so one of the things we have discussed are other ways and opportunities for students to engage. Jason Pavey, when he was here and he talked about the social studies curriculum, shared that he will be running, civic action projects for our 8th graders, which is particularly helpful. But part of that civic action is to engage not only in the school, but in the community as well. So those are just some things that we're doing with student leadership and the ADL. A note about just hiring and human resources. Just some brief information. First, I need to correct a statement that I made in the last meeting. I think I was talking very quickly, and I made reference to a question that I had received in our meeting before last, which was, could we get an update on the assistant principal hiring at Galvin? And so I got the name correct. And while I was talking so quickly, and I had reported on the Walton School ahead of that, I said the assistant principal for Walton. So Allison Hammer is our new assistant principal at the Galvin, not at the Walton. So we've corrected the minutes, and they'll be uploaded to the website. But that's a correction. There's no assistant principal at the Walton School. So thank you very much for your patience and your feedback on that. So just other information about hiring. I'm very excited to report, and I said that I would have an update on this for this meeting. We have hired an interim principal for Woodville Elementary, and that is Matt Carter, who's here this evening. So could not be more excited for you, Matt, and also for us. I don't know if you want to come up and share any thoughts. I know it wasn't scripted, but it might not be a bad time just to share a little bit since you're here.
I said it, kind of all along. This is sort of where I want to be. This is the exact type of position that I envisioned when I came to Wakefield Public Schools many years ago. And then in conversation with Dr. Smith and Mr. Lyons, this is something that came up kind of in conversation. If there is an opportunity, I'd love the opportunity to kind of compete for that position. It came up, and it's something that I really feel that I can put my heart and soul into. So I'm very excited to kind of continue with Wakefield Public Schools in a different sort of capacity, but I've enjoyed my time with the academy and on the data side, but I'm just kind of over the moon thrilled to get back into one building, one school, and work with that team to make Woodville as great as it possibly can be. So I've spent the last 2 full days there. I've met with some staff. I've been working with Mrs. Zortzis, the assistant principal. I talked to the secretary, Grace, and the custodian, Marty, and we're just excited to get going. And like I said, I just couldn't be more happy with the opportunity. So I thank, obviously the hiring committee for going, with me and putting my name forward. But like I said, I intend to serve and kind of honor that, and I'm excited just to kind of move with that commitment in Wakefield in a different way. So, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
We're
you,
happy
Matt.
to have you on board.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very proud of Matt. I think it's such a great hire for us. One of the things that we know is that hiring is one of the most important things that we do. It can help us build programs so quickly, as you've seen and you've heard comments this evening when we were talking about the Wakefield Academy. You see how much the program has grown and how we've also kind of reaped the benefits of other talents that Matt has in regard to data and also crisis management. So Matt, I think you're going to be great there, and I look forward to continuing our work. So other positions that we are going to have open, or that we do have open, one is a little bittersweet, and it is we're going to have a school business administrator position open. Michael Pifferling, who sits to my left, has been a partner for me this year in so many ways. He's helped me with negotiations. He's helped with human resources. He has been a voice of reason, a voice of patience, and has just been such a kind leader and really a thoughtful person in regard to really just carrying out our core values of love and care really in everything that he does. And so Michael is moving on to Haverhill to an assistant superintendent position, which is great for him and his family. It cuts down on his commute by about 25 minutes. And so it is also a change in title as assistant superintendent in charge of management and operations. But that position has been posted, and I'll have more to report in the coming weeks on that position. Other positions that we have open, obviously Matt is vacating the Wakefield Academy position, the director position. That has been posted, and we're looking and reviewing applicants for that position. As well as our school nutrition director, Kristen Morello, is going to be leaving. And so that is a key position for us. And it's also a position that is owned jointly through an intermunicipality agreement between the town of Wakefield and the town of Reading. I have spoken to the superintendent over there, Dr. Doherty, who's just a terrific person, and he is open to and would like to maintain kind of this relationship that we have in the IMA. So he will be posting the position. He'll be forwarding that information. We'll review it. They'll post it, and we will jointly interview for that position. And we want to wish Kristen Morello absolutely the best of luck in her move to go to switch positions. And so she's a very thoughtful, very accomplished person in the nutrition director space, and we look forward to kind of working with her as she moves forward. And so that's kind of where we are. Those are really three big positions that we have open that we're going to be working on in the coming weeks. So I'll have more to report in our next school committee meeting. So other news, just a quick update on induction and mentoring as a standard part of new teacher hiring process. I want everyone to know that all of our new teachers will be assigned a mentor and will participate in a 2-day induction program where they learn about kind of all things Wakefield. And one of the things that we're going to be adding this year is we're creating an opportunity where we're going to have high school students come down and talk to our new teachers as part of our induction program, which we're excited about. It gives student leaders an opportunity to talk to our new teachers and really share with them the things that they think are most important for them to know as they transition to Wakefield. I also want to let the committee and the community know that all of our new administrators are also assigned mentors for the year as well as they transition positions as well. And so, themes that we're going to look at in 19 and 20 with new teachers, our student engagement and participation. We're going to continue to look at equity, inclusion, and restorative practices, as well as really prompting our new staff and our veteran staff to really spend time learning as much as they possibly can about their students. The more that our teachers and our administrators understand about who our students are, where they come from, what they do outside of school, the more effective we will be in supporting them and teaching them in our schools. So that's just a very quick update on several things that we have going, but that's where we're at. I don't know if anyone has any questions on any of those topics. I know I threw a lot out there.
I have a couple. With the food service director,
Yep.
technically, like, Reading is the one that pays the salary, and we reimburse them for the cost of that, half the cost of that, right?
Yep.
It's not.
It's
Not
not just a
necessarily,
cost
no,
share.
it's not, we contract with the Reading Public Schools for a set amount, almost like we would for any contract service provider, regardless of what they pay their employees. So we don't pay necessarily half of Kristen's salary. We pay a portion, but we don't pay any of her benefit costs. We don't pay any of their, insurance liabilities or whatnot. So we just pay them a set amount. It's around $67,000, I think, this year, which she's not making $134,000, I can tell you that. But, certainly they have to take that money in and allocate it towards salary and benefits. So it's not a 50-50 share on her salary. By the time it's all said and done, it might be a 50-50 cost share on what their actual costs
The
are.
entire package.
Right.
She is an employee of the Reading Public Schools. She is not an employee of the Wakefield Public Schools.
Okay. So for her replacement, then Reading is posting it. Do we really have any say in the hire?
We do, and so I think Dr. Doherty has been very gracious, the superintendent in Reading, has been very gracious in my conversation with him about having this be a joint hire.
Okay.
Because the person will be directing the food service programs in each district. So he's been, I would argue, terrific and open to collaborating, so.
And do you have a feel for how many teachers we're trying to hire district-wide?
I don't have an update on numbers of teachers at this point in time. I can provide that in our next meeting, Chris?
That's fine. I
Yeah.
was just curious
Yeah.
if it was. If it
I
was-
think we have most of our teaching positions filled.
Good.
I think they're all but a few. I think we're trying to figure out certification with some, with a few teachers and some hard-to-fill positions.
Good.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I just had a question on the mentor and the mentor-mentee program and then the induction.
Yeah.
Is that gonna take place prior to the start of school, or is it gonna take place, over the summer?
So the two-day induction takes place prior to the first 2 days of school.
Okay.
So the 2 staff days.
Yeah.
So that's in addition to the staff days.
And we've had that before, maybe it's been a one-day.
It's been a 1 day.
Yeah.
Last year it was
Okay.
increased to 2, and it will continue to be 2 days.
Okay,
Yeah.
super.
Yeah.
The mentors for the whole, it doesn't just stop there, though.
They have meetings throughout the year.
Yeah.
Once a month, they're assigned a mentor who meets with them. They visit their classroom, and they'll do kind of reciprocal meetings. They work and collaborate on grades, assessments, any kind of hard conversations about classroom management or about, things that they really feel like they need help or support with. We really try to tailor it to meet the needs of who our new faculty members are. So it's really important.
Just one question.
Yeah.
When you talked about how, it's really effective for the teachers to understand the types of students that they're working with, is
Yeah.
there a specific program, that you have in place? So, because I do also feel like that creates the best learning environment as well for the students and for the teachers. So I'm just wondering if there's a program
Yeah.
that they'll follow.
So the induction program is led by 2 teachers. And they create the program, right? And so it's very thoughtfully put together and sequentially put together. And so, we have kind of a set agenda over the 2 days. So we'll cover a supervision evaluation, we'll cover kind of all of the nuts and bolts. But in regard to, if I understand your question, Amy, about is there a program how do we prompt teachers to learn about students?
As the year goes on.
Yeah, I think that really comes from the administrative teams. A change that has has come about in the last few years, this year in particular, especially at the high school.
Yeah.
You know, Amy McLeod has really prompted teachers to just, slow it down in the first week. Really just spend time creating community and creating space and trying to learn and help students acclimate,
Yeah.
right? And so it's hard for students in a rotating schedule to have, 7 periods in a day with 7 teachers, 7 sets of expectations, and so we really try to really give Amy and the teachers and the teacher leaders and the department coordinators time and space to work with one another to kind of get to know kids. Yeah.
Nice.
So, but there's not a specific program.
Yep,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
You're certainly welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, is it, you done?
That's it for me.
Moving on, subcommittee reports, the finance and facilities, I did meet, Ann and I met with Doug and Mike last week. We did review the fee sheets that we approved tonight. And as far as closing out fiscal year 19, there are still purchase orders that need to close out, and final numbers won't really be available till those are done. So we'll have a report on the July 23rd meeting as the closeout of fiscal 19. Okay. More to report on labor, right?
Yes. So in addition to the AFSCME and the traffic supervisors that we've already discussed and voted on tonight, we are in a very good space with Unit B and Unit C of the WEA, the assistant principal level folks and the paraprofessionals. So it's our concerted hope that we'd be able to bring some, to have some report, perhaps even action at the July meeting. But we again remain in forward motion.
Policy has not met, and student services has not met. So, future dates are, as you recall, we will not be having our first meeting in July. Our next meeting will be July 23rd, so you get a little bit of a vacation here. We've reviewed some agenda items to be included on that meeting tonight. If there's anything further, just let me know. Any school committee comments? Mr. Markham?
Thank you. I guess, would just like to thank all the members and leaders of the AFSCME groups for really what has been a pleasurable and very productive negotiation. I know that Mr. Piffling was an integral part of that, so I just want to take a moment to thank Mike publicly for all his work in really making all of those parts come together very, very nicely. But one thing about the employee groups, it's really a pleasure to know that the AFSCME groups are really the public face of the Wakefield Public Schools in so many ways. While the teachers and the educators per se are the face to the students, these are really the faces to the public, the custodians, the clerical, traffic supervisors, cafeteria workers that really interact with kids every day and families, and of course their fellow employees. And it's really just a pleasure to land where we did in a fair and appropriate way, and an ability to, at least from, I think, our unanimous perspective, ability to appropriately appreciate the talented professionals that our AFSCME employees are. So I just wanted to say something again, thanking them for what had been a very productive couple of months. If I may also, in reading last night's Wakefield item, to congratulate our friend Beverly Elsowitz, who has been recognized by the West Side Social Club as the for 4th of July Person of Honor. So that's a great recognition for Beverly. She's obviously a longtime special educator in Wakefield who has touched so many lives, kids and families alike, that long deserving. And congratulations to Beverly, and certainly we'll be looking for that honor, her honor around the 4th of July, but both the West Side Social Club activities as well as I'm sure at the parade. So just congratulations to the Elsputs family.
Susie?
So I would like to congratulate Matt on your appointment. I'm super sad in many ways to see you going over there, though. It has been a pleasure working with you on the Learn Anywhere campaign and our work. And I think you'll be missed from a data perspective, but I know the Woodville School is getting a great leader. And now we gotta find somebody to fill those shoes, because those are big shoes and it's important work. And it was work that wasn't necessarily, I don't think, getting done before, and so that's what makes me sad. But they are certainly getting great talent. And Mike, I haven't gotten the opportunity to work with you much, but over the years, I have been around asking questions. So I know it's a huge loss. You are, an important cog in the wheel. And certainly you'll be missed. And I'm kind of bummed that I won't have gotten the opportunity to work with you on the other side of the table. But I totally, as I said to you in email, I totally get, you can't pass up that kind of opportunity. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you're doing the right thing.
I'm still here for 2 more months. So.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, so I can come bother you for the next 60 days.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. And then the last thing I would just say is the Megan Burnett softball tournament is this coming weekend. Hopefully we do not get rain like we did last year, because a lot of it got rained out last year.
Not in the forecast, so.
Can you
Yeah.
give us specific details about that?
It's
Susie?
all day Saturday and all day Sunday. I know we're volunteering kind of in the middle of the day on Sunday, but I think it starts at 9 and goes till 5. It's on a couple of different fields. They have a field over in Stoneham where they're playing. There's just different teams playing at different times. It's different communities coming. And I think Veterans Field is kind of the big field where a lot of the games are happening. But they do have games going on at multiple fields. I think at the Maple Way, and there's a field in Stoneham that they're also playing.
It's on Facebook too.
Yeah, so you can find it on Facebook. But it's just different, different teams coming in and playing. I think different age groups, and I think it's raising money and kind of honoring Megan. So it should be a great event. Hoping that the weather cooperates. That's it from me.
Congratulations, Matt, as well. Like Susie, I do think that you will be missed at the Wakefield Academy, and all your data on the Learn Anywhere. I was looking forward to kind of receiving, more data in regards to year 3, if we were to get a big snow season, but hopefully the new person will have that sort of talent. And for Mike, I mean, you're just so good at what you do. You really, at that finance committee meeting, being questioned, and, you just knew that budget inside and out. And I was just so impressed. And you really have placed Wakefield in a great spot, managing and watching over everything. There are going to be some huge shoes to fill. And now that I'm on the Finance and Facilities Subcommittee, I'm really upset, because I was looking forward to working with you, because I'm a numbers girl, and I said, I know I can ask Mike anything. He'll know without even looking it up. So you'll be missed, but really, congratulations, and they're so lucky to have you.
Colleen?
Same congratulations to Matt. Really excited to see where the Woodville School will go under your direction, because we've already seen such amazing things from you, obviously, in the first year. And I think that you've laid such a great foundation for whoever the predecessor is, and that's really such an important thing to do, because roles do change, and the foundation that you've built is so important for someone else to come in. Mike, I've sent you, I think we can do this for the next 2 months, right?
That's what I'm hoping not.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know.
I'm
So,
hoping
you know what?
skipping some
I'm gonna
meetings.
save my comments,
Good,
and
please.
we'll filter them throughout.
Thank you.
Or sprinkle them throughout anyway. But I also wanted to, now that we've officially had our last day of schools at both the other schools and the Walton, which I forgot of, I was like, it's out of school, and then, they had a couple more days, and so now that everyone's out, I want to wish our families a fantastic summer vacation, full of, happiness, and also really like taking the Learn Anywhere program sort of as it is intended, and taking all those moments and kind of absorbing, what they're learning from them in ways that they don't even know sometimes. So, and just to be creative with sort of what you choose to do and enjoy. So, have a great summer.
Well, did you?
Can I just
Yeah,
add one?
sure.
So just so that families know, in regard to summer curriculum work or summer reading and summer math work, on the Learn Anywhere website, if you go up to the top banner and just scroll across to summer work, there's a pull down and there's information that just is there for every level for summer work, summer reading, summer math, some summer science, and also some world language there from Erin Manzi, who never misses an opportunity to get world language in there. So just to let families know. And like Ms. Greta, we would like to wish, families and our students, and especially our faculty and staff, happy summer, and just try to get some rest, some well-deserved rest. And so we look forward to seeing you in the fall.
And I just wanted to share a couple things that I did attend the town council meeting here last evening, mostly because Mr. Hayes from Bond Brothers was explaining the repairs they're actually already mobilized at the Galvin. So that work has begun, just so everybody knows. I think they've just mobilized and done some prep work. They haven't started any of the drilling yet, but I think that starts next week. Mr. Hayes did a very nice job, and I really appreciate Bond Brothers' commitment to taking care of the town of Wakefield. They're really taking the lead on this. I appreciate their work. And just hope that everybody has an exciting 4th of July. The parade folks were also here last night, and they're very, very short on volunteers. If anybody has some time that they can donate to the festivities, reach out to the July committee, July 4th parade committee with Mr. Fox. They've got a lot of spots that don't require a lot of work, but they could use some extra hands. If they don't get enough hands, their fundraising will drop off, and they'll be in a bad place. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move that the school committee adjourn its meeting on June 25th, 2019.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor? All right, and the meeting is adjourned.